I always believed that trust was the foundation of a strong marriage. And for 10 years, I never had a single reason to doubt my wife. Rachel. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we had what I thought was an unshakable bond. Late night talks, inside jokes, lazy Sunday mornings, it all felt real. Safe. Unbreakable. Until the day I made a mistake. A simple, innocent mistake. I was running late for work, and I couldn't find my car keys. I searched everywhere. The kitchen counter, the coffee table, the usual places. Then I spotted Rachel's purse sitting on the entryway table. She was in the shower, so I figured why not. I reached in, expecting to find my keys tangled up with her usual mess of receipts and lip gloss. But what I pulled out instead made my entire world stop. It wasn't my keys. It was a folded slip of paper, crumpled, like someone had clenched it too tightly before stuffing it away. My name wasn't on it, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. It was hers. And when I opened it, my heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. I wish we had more time. I stood there frozen. My fingers gripped the paper so tight it nearly tore in half. This had to be a misunderstanding. It had to be. Rachel wasn't like that. We were happy. We were solid. But as I stared at those words, one terrifying thought gripped me harder than anything ever had before. What if everything I believed about my wife was a lie? I stood there in stunned silence, my mind racing through every possible explanation. Maybe it was an old note. Maybe it wasn't even hers. Maybe. But no. The handwriting was unmistakable. And worse, the ink was fresh. I felt sick. My hands shook as I shoved the note back into her purse, my heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. Rachel stepped out of the bathroom a few minutes later, wrapped in a towel, humming to herself like nothing had changed. Like my entire world hadn't just been turned upside down. She glanced at me and smiled. "Babe, did you find your keys?" I swallowed hard, forcing a nod. "Yeah, got him." I don't know why I didn't confront her right then and there. Maybe it was shock. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear whatever excuse she would come up with. Maybe. I was just scared of the truth. But from that moment on, I saw everything differently. The late nights at work, the girl trips she suddenly started taking more often. The way she turned her phone face down every time she set it on the table. How had I not noticed it before? I started watching her more closely, searching for clues. Anything that could either confirm or destroy my worst fears. That night, I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone, giggling at something on the screen. My stomach twisted as I wondered, was she texting him? Was she laughing at inside jokes with someone else while I lay right beside her, completely oblivious? I had to know. The next day, I made a decision. If Rachel was hiding something, I was going to find out. And what I discovered was far worse than I ever imagined. The next morning, I woke up before Rachel. I watched her sleep for a moment, wondering if I even knew the woman lying beside me. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached for her phone. I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the screen. I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. But that note, the words kept flashing in my mind like a neon sign. I had to know. Her phone was locked, of course, but I knew her passcode. Birthdays, anniversaries. Rachel wasn't the type to hide things. At least, that's what I thought. The screen lit up. My stomach clenched as I opened her messages. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A few unread texts from her sister, some work emails. Then I saw a chat buried under the others. No name, just an initial J. I clicked. The conversation was short but damning. "Jay, last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you." "Rachel, me too. I wish we had more time." "Jay, soon. Just say the word." "Rachel, I will." I promise. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. There it was. Proof. Not just a suspicion. Not just paranoia. This was real. Rachel stirred beside me, and I nearly dropped the phone. My pulse was hammering so loud I was sure she'd hear it. She opened her eyes, stretched, and smiled. "Morning, babe." I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. "Morning." I felt sick. I wanted to throw the phone at her, scream, demand an explanation. But something inside me told me to wait. If she had been lying to my face this whole time, she'd do it again. So I decided to play along. "Busy day today?" I asked, forcing a smile. She yawned and nodded. "Yeah, meetings all morning. Then lunch with Hannah." Hannah, her best friend, the one she always used as an excuse when she needed a girls' night. I clenched my jaw. Sounds fun. She kissed my cheek and rolled out of bed, completely unaware that her entire lie was crumbling right in front of me. But I wasn't done yet. I needed to know who Jay was, and I needed to catch them in the act. What happened next changed everything. I spent the entire morning in a daze, my mind replaying the messages over and over. Every smile Rachel had given me suddenly felt like a lie. Every "I love you" like a cruel joke. But I wasn't about to confront her without knowing everything. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So I followed her. She left around noon, dressed nicer than usual for a lunch with Hannah. I stayed a few cars behind as she drove across town. She wasn't heading toward the restaurant she always went to with Hannah. Instead, she pulled into a quiet parking lot behind a small boutique hotel. My stomach turned. I watched as she parked, took a quick look around, almost like she was checking if she was being watched, then stepped out of the car. And that's when I saw him. A man was already waiting for her near the entrance. Tall, dark-haired, dressed sharp. He had the confidence of someone who knew he had nothing to lose. Rachel walked right up to him, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in years. Then she kissed him. Not a peck, not a friendly hug. A kiss, full of passion, full of history. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, my breath coming in short, ragged bursts. So this was Jay. This was the man who had stolen my wife. I wanted to storm out, drag her away, demand answers. But I didn't. Instead, I grabbed my phone and started recording. If she was going to lie to my face, if she was going to try to spin some excuse, I wanted undeniable proof. I filmed every second. The way she laughed, the way she touched his arm, the way they disappeared inside the hotel like they had done this 1,000 times before. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. She had no idea I was watching. No idea that when she came home tonight, everything was about to come crashing down, and I was going to make sure she never forgot it. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The video was saved on my phone. Undeniable proof. There was no talking her way out of this. By the time Rachel walked through the front door later that evening, I was sitting on the couch, waiting. She looked at me and smiled, like she hadn't spent the afternoon wrapped around another man. "Hey, babe," she said, kicking off her heels. "You won't believe how crazy work was today." I stared at her, my chest tight with rage. "Yeah, tell me about it." She sighed dramatically, running a hand through her hair. "Oh, just meetings, reports, the usual headache. I'm exhausted." That was it. That was all I needed to hear. I pulled out my phone, opened the video, and hit play. Rachel's voice filled the room. Her laughter, the unmistakable sound of her calling him baby as she kissed him outside the hotel. Her face went pale. Her eyes darted to the screen, then to me. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "Work was crazy today, huh?" My voice was low, controlled, but I could feel my hands shaking. Meetings and reports? That's weird, because this sure as hell doesn't look like a meeting. She took a step back, like she could physically escape the truth. It's not what it looks like. I let out a bit of laugh. Not what it looks like. Really, Rachel? Because it looks like my wife has been screwing some guy behind my back. Tears welled in her eyes. Please, let me explain. Explain what? I snapped, standing up. Explain how long you've been lying to me. Explain why you looked me in the eye this morning and acted like nothing was wrong. She started crying then, the kind of desperate, panicked sobs people make when they know they've lost everything. I never meant to hurt you. I swear it just happened. Just happened. I repeated, shaking my head. Rachel, cheating isn't an accident. You made a choice. Over and over again. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Please, I love you. No. My voice was firm, final. You don't get to say that. She tried to plead, to justify, to rewrite the story, but I wasn't listening anymore. I grabbed the overnight bag I had packed earlier that day, walked to the door, and turned back one last time. You made your choice, Rachel. Now I'm making mine. Then I walked out, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I drove away that night without looking back. I had no plan, no destination, just the overwhelming need to get away from the wreckage of my life. I checked into a small motel a few towns over, turned off my phone, and just sat there, staring at the ceiling, letting it all sink in. The betrayal, the lies, the way Rachel had looked at me, not with guilt, but with fear. Fear of being caught. Fear of losing the safety net I had provided for her while she played me for a fool. And that's when I knew I had made the right choice. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Rachel tried reaching out, of course. Messages, voicemails, begging to talk, to explain. She even had the audacity to say we could work through this. But some things can't be fixed. Some things shouldn't be fixed. I filed for divorce a week later. The process was ugly. Rachel didn't want to let go of the life she had built with me, even after she destroyed it. But the evidence I had, it left no room for argument. In the end, she lost more than just me. Her friends, her reputation, even her job, because it turned out her precious Jay was one of her company's biggest clients. And when his wife found out, she didn't just divorce him, she ruined him. I won't lie. There were nights when the loneliness hit hard, when I wondered how the woman I loved could betray me so easily. But here's what I learned. Sometimes the betrayal is a blessing in disguise. Rachel set me free from a lie I didn't even know I was living. And now I get to build something real. But let me ask you something. If you found undeniable proof of betrayal, what would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever been through something like this, tell your story. You never know who might need to hear it. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that reveal the truth behind the lies.